Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Afternoon FM. Today, we are graciously we have the good grace of having Nola Bunny.
Yeah.
Welcome, Nola.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah, I actually met Nola on Sunday. She was doing a photo shoot here. I guess we're gonna go a little bit into that one later and go into your life. But you were doing a photo shoot on Sunday, and I was kind of running in and out. And I was like, oh my god, I gotta get this.
What is going on here?
What? Yeah, 2 Marylands.
There were 2 Marylands. You know, maybe it's a good place to start.
We start with the 2 Marylands.
It's all relevant. We'll start with the 2 Marylands. So this was a promotional photo shoot for my entertainment company, Nola Bunny Productions. My entertainment company has been around officially since 2018, but I've actually been booking talent for longer than that. And I've been an entertainer for 11 years now, but I always envisioned having my own company. That's something that I've just always dreamed of. I've always had visions of me putting a group of girls on stage together in matching costumes. I'm also very interested in fashion. So I've been building this officially since 2018, and I've collected all these matching costumes that I haven't had the opportunity to show off yet. And I feel like I'm ready to create more opportunities for myself, and I also feel like I'm finally starting to find my dream team, which is something that has been a struggle throughout my life. There's been many people who I really thought were performers that I could grow with and that I really saw as people that I wanted to give opportunities to, that ended up kind of stabbing me in the back in various ways. That's definitely been a struggle in my journey as a troupe leader and producer, and I feel like it also kind of goes back to just being a woman and trying to make friends with other girls as a kid, and there's definitely a sister wound there. So I feel like that's something that's carried into my adult life, and I feel like I'm finally starting to find other entertainers that I really connect with and I trust, trust is a big thing for me. I trust them. I think that they respect me and they value me, and I want to get them more work. And it just felt like time to do a promotional photo shoot and show prospective clients that constantly need photo proof before they will book you. They always need to see the thing, hey, this is what I can do. I literally have many identical costumes that are from the 60s, 70s, 90s. So you walked in at the portion of the shoot when I had my 2 gals, Angelique Lachette and Deb, being Marilyn Monroe. Double the fun Marilyn Monroe, and you wanted to jump in and take a photo with the Marilyns. So yeah, that's a look that I feel like would be booked for a 50s Hollywood throwback party. They could be the decadent dancers, party greeters, making the place more fun and sexy.
Word. So let's go into so you were mentioning just your journey, this journey to be able to get to this point of the going through all these people. But let's start with you. Where are you from? Tell me a little bit about your early life.
Yeah, so I grew up in Yonkers, New York. Do you know where that is?
A huge Jadakiss fan.
Yes,
huge Jadakiss fan.
There you go. I feel like Yonkers is one of those places that's a super hit or miss. People either know it or don't.
Yeah. And Patterson as well. Sometimes it's
but Yonkers is a big city, so it's how do you not know Yonkers? But anyways, I grew up in Yonkers, and I have literally always been interested in the entertainment industry. Always staring into mirrors and posing, like as young as like 4 or 5 years old. I was born in 91, so I was pretty young when like the biggest 90s pop stars were at the height of their careers. So I would be like a little girl just watching the Spice Girls and Britney Spears and feeling like a superstar. And definitely I'm not a singer. I think that was my first like vision, is that I'd be like a little pop star, but I'm definitely not a singer. And I know anybody can be, but I have many other talents, and that's just So
what's it like growing up in Yonkers?
What's
Like,
it like
how's like your family and like?
What's it like growing up in Yonkers? Yonkers is cool because it's very diverse. Like one part of Yonkers will be a little more upscale, and then the next block will be the complete opposite. I have 2 sisters. My older sister is only 20 months older than me, so we were very close growing up, just 1 grade apart in school. And my younger sister is 8 years younger, so she's my baby. And my mom raised us by herself pretty much. And my mother is just an absolutely amazing, talented woman. She used to be a fashion designer pre-kids. She would actually...
Oh, do you take a lot of influence from your mom, like your mom's work?
I think that fashion being in my blood is definitely directly from my mother. She was a fashion designer up until I was a baby, and when she was a fashion designer, she was pretty big. She was traveling to France and India regularly. And when I was a kid, she made me and my older sister a lot of matching clothes as babies and toddlers. Always made my Halloween costumes or put them together. Like I remember a Snow White costume that she made when I was a little kid, and a genie costume that she made for my older sister and then I wore. So, and I also grew up on hand-me-down clothing from either my older cousin Kristen or my sister or just friends. And even some of my mom's fashion designer friends, I remember, would like send her boxes of just clothes they were letting go of. Sometimes they'd be like samples from fashion stuff, or sometimes they'd just be really trendy personal collection stuff. So I've always worn hand-me-downs, and I think that's kind of what started my fascination with vintage fashion, which is the biggest part of my life now, and that's pretty much all I wear at this point. So,
like how do you approach like making your pieces? Like for like creating a piece. Like I know you do vintage, but I feel like you add to it. So how are you like going and like you have the blank canvas of an outfit?
Absolutely.
How are you going?
Okay, so for this photo shoot that you had just met me at, for example, I took a lot of my vintage pieces that, as something for your body, is amazing as is. Like I personally would not put a rhinestone, a feather on that. To me, that's a piece of history and we don't touch that. But like, okay, my tropical girl costumes, they're these hot pink bikini tops and skirts, and they have a psychedelic pattern. They're both from the 60s, 70s, and then myself and Michael collaborated on these tropical showgirl headdresses that just took the looks to another level. So it's like it went from being something that still someone bold, but you know, like pretty much anyone can just wear on the beach, to know this is a performance costume, this is a showgirl costume. So I feel like those details completely take something from 0 to 100. I personally, one thing I did not get from my mother is I'm definitely not a seamstress. I can do simple hand sewing, but I'm not someone that's going to make an evening gown. That's just not my ability. I never learned how to use a sewing machine, but I love embellishing. Like I love taking bras and putting rhinestones and sewing some fringe and things like that.
Yeah. Word. Yeah. Do you remember your first piece?
I don't remember my first piece. I do remember the first thing that comes to mind, actually, when you asked that, is my senior prom dress that my mother made that I now use for a burlesque routine and have been for most of my burlesque career. Yeah.
What got you into burlesque? Like, I feel like I don't know so much about the community of it, but like, just what really like got you like how did you like come into the community of that?
I feel like the best way to answer that is to kind of discuss my performance journey a little bit in general.
Please.
So yeah, I started out as a go-go dancer in raves. So like I was saying earlier, I've been interested in the entertainment industry ever since I can remember. But I never really had formal training. Like I took a couple dance classes as a kid, but I wasn't someone who had been doing this since I was 2 years old and grew with that art form like many of my colleagues have. So I found go-go dancing because I was actually at a concert and I looked up and I saw go-go dancers on stage. And that was the first time that I was like, hey, as someone who's not technically trained in the entertainment industry, I know this is something that I can do. I'd already been exploring dancing. It was something that I had a love and passion for. And go-go dancing is specifically freestyle dancing in amazingly intricate costuming. That's what it is. So I got into that. I was able to get an opportunity to perform at a rave, and then it kind of went from there. So for a couple years, that's pretty much what I was doing. But I know I had started seeing burlesque dancers, and it was an interest that I had long before I actually got into it. But the idea at the time where I was in my life, I didn't feel comfortable with the idea of being considered a stripper. It was a boundary that I had with myself at the time. I was doing freestyle dancing in very sexy costumes, but I wasn't taking anything off. And I started performing when I was 20, so I'm talking about like younger me. I'm 31 now. So I was probably about like 22, 23 when I had thought about becoming a burlesque dancer. And I was like, no, that's not it didn't feel right at the time. And then at 24, obviously for a couple years now, it had been in my head. And I had started doing different types of performance art at this point of my life, exploring outside of go-go dancing. And by the time I was 24, a friend of mine was hiring me for her party, and the main performance art piece I had at this time was a performance art piece that I call my splash dance, where I dance in paint, and it's like very chaotic and sensual and primitive, and I get really wild and pour paint all over me, and it's this improvisational dance. But my friend Rachel was hiring me for her party and specifically said, nothing messy, like what else would you be interested in doing? And I think that's what really pushed me to be like, you know what, let's try burlesque. So I tried it for the first time.
How does the moment feel when you're like you're just mentioning like the paint dance, like how does the moment when you're like truly in like the bee of you making the dance and like going like how do you feel like in that moment?
Are you asking about my paint dance or my burlesque? Because I feel like it's a different feeling for both.
It's a different feeling for both for you.
Well, let me think about that for a second.
Like when you're in the act of creating in that moment, you're doing improvisational dance. Like how is your feeling? Like where's your like go-to, and like how is it like?
Okay, so for improvisational dance, because not all of my burlesque is improvisational dance. So let's think about like my splash dance and my go-go dancing, which is improvisational dance. I think, like, I used the word primitive before. Like, I think that is my inner spirit, like, warrior goddess. Like, my divine feminine is completely channeled when I am improvisational dancing. I'm just letting loose, and I let the music and the audience and the costumes all take over me, and I feel extremely powerful. I actually haven't done my splash dance in a couple years now, and I don't go dance nearly as much as I did when I first started, because that used to be all I did, and now I would say burlesque is my main art form. So every time I do get the opportunity to go dance or perform my splash dance, or just go to a party and dance, which isn't even something I do that often anymore, I feel like a badass. I feel like my feminine is completely, I think that's something
you're in line. You're completely in line with yourself in the moment.
I'm sure everyone that's listening can relate in their own way with dance. I think dance is for everyone. But I do think there's something, like, even as I'm talking about this right now, I feel something in my heart. I do think there's something about woman and dance and just, like, being able to move their hips and let loose and, like, let their hands move. There's just something really powerful.
Freedom.
Yes.
Freedom.
Yes, freedom. And that's what burlesque is too. Burlesque is freedom and celebration of yourself. Yeah. Oh, I will have some more. Yes. This is very good tea. What are we having? Turmeric?
The ginger turmeric.
The ginger turmeric tea. I like it.
This is brought to you by Trader Joe's.
Ooh.
Trade at Joe's.
They are not sponsoring this. Trader Joe's does not need.
No, not.
They don't
not
need
Trader Joe's, like the supermarket chain, like Trader Joe's. He's actually like a forex trader.
Oh.
Yeah, he sponsors.
Oh.
He's always in my DM, just always trying to like, hey man, are you investing in forex?
Oh.
It's a lot of spam. Don't answer those. Don't answer those DMs. But yeah. So what was it like going into to when you were like forming the entertainment company? Like what was your plan for it?
So I think my ultimate goal, I honestly can't remember what my first plan was. I think it's just something I'm truly passionate about naturally, because I don't remember where it exactly stemmed from. What I can remember when I was like 17 years old is starting to hang out with musicians and fantasizing putting on shows. So that goes into another, I'm also a producer.
Producing.
Yeah. But so I think that's like just a natural, like at 17 years old, this is just something that I naturally envisioned. It wasn't even happening. I just like would imagine like putting on concerts for these musicians I was hanging out with and having dancers on stage and matching costumes. So that's where it stemmed from. And that it all connects with my love of fashion and putting on costumes, putting together costumes. But my ultimate goal right now, I want to be hired for any necessity that a client has. If they need wedding entertainment, I will be there. If they need entertainment for their 4-year-old's birthday party, I got it. I'm a versatile entertainer. I'm also a children's entertainer. I do clowning and balloon twisting and party princess. So I'm very versatile. And all the women that were here at the shoot on Sunday are very versatile. Some of them are more character performers. Some of them have been dancing since they were 2 years old. Some of them are, actually all of them do burlesque. Every girl that was here on Sunday does some form of burlesque. But yeah, so I have a large team of talent. I know stilt walkers, aerialists, ballerinas, whatever you can imagine, and I want to be trusted that I will make the client's vision come to life. One thing that I really want to be is a boutique entertainment company where you can say, I want 4 Hollywood glam girls, and I'm like, I got you. Or I want
the plug for glam girls.
Glam girls. Or I want 2 cowgirls. Cowgirls. Like, what's that? Think of any theme.
2 Marylands.
Well, we already know we got the Marylands. Think of another theme. What's a theme that you can imagine?
Theme. I always wanted to do a heaven and hell party.
Okay, angels and devils.
Yeah, angels
Red and
devils.
white. We got it. You actually missed the Cupid look that we did. You missed the Cupid look that we did on Sunday. So yeah, so that's pretty much, and it's actually a struggle that I've had. I've had a lot of clients not seem to trust me because I think with where I'm at the current moment, I don't have enough of the quote unquote social proof that certain clients need to trust that I can make this happen.
Yeah.
And that's another big reason for the shoot, like I said earlier. So yeah, my big vision is to be trusted with people's avant-garde ideas, and I will bring them to life.
I always find that a little tedious. That's like, you know, there's like always this like passion. There's like the innate passion like that we have as creators, where it's like you just want to dance because you want to be free, and you're creating because you want to be free and to be able to cater to it. But it's like there's all this like kind of red tape we end up doing, like where it's like, you know, I have to like, oh, the fucking followers, the fucking, you know, it's just a bunch of red tape for that one moment where you're just covered in paint, you're dancing, and you're being free.
Yes. I feel like I'm not ever going to be a trendy person the way the internet is now, with everybody doing the exact same dance to the exact same song, using the same soundbite for every one of their Instagram reels. That's very much not me, and I've always found it frustrating that unless you're a huge celebrity, like I'm going to use Lady Gaga as an example because she's someone that is praised for her avant-garde ideas. People bow to her feet for her strange costumes and whatnot, yet someone else with really original ideas will not be valued the same.
It's platforming.
Way.
Platforming's crazy.
And it's very frustrating. And I'll see people who kind of became influencers by playing the game and doing the trendy things. And then they get to a point where they're able to put out a song and everybody listens to it immediately. And it's like, darn, what about the people who the content they're already putting out, that's their original
You're making
content,
it
like,
straight.
support that, you know, like I'll see my friends have no problem sharing their favorite celebrities' funny moment, but what about my YouTube clip? My YouTube clip that I put on an Instagram reel. Like, can't you share that? And can't you share it with the link so people will then go and click on the actual thing? Like, yeah, I found it very frustrating, but I've also found ways to use social media where I'm being completely true to myself and putting it all out there. I post nearly every day. I definitely use social media, but my content is very original, and I'm also a writer, and I will express myself deeply in a social media post with a modeling photo attached to it or a burlesque clip or something like that. So I feel like I've found a way to make it fun for me, even though it is annoying because we just want to be artists.
Yeah. It's weird. It's my Russian buddy Alex. I grew weed for like 6 years in Northern California, and he gave me a really great quote. It's called, "It's not a job, it's a lifestyle." Like the lifestyle of like just even that, but it ends up being applied in a lot of things. It ends up being like, this is a lifestyle of it. The lifestyle of like going and building like, yeah. What's it called? The lifestyle of like going and building like this thing, to be able to have that moment where you're just free and you're able to just make. But it's like, it's strange. There's like, it's like a kind of an attrition, and it's really like a test that you have, like, that's within yourself.
Yeah. I mean, so I've been performing for over a decade, but I have been freelancing for 7 years now, and I feel like I've never been one of those people that's like, I'm going, like, this is my passion, but I'm going to study this in college and have a fallback. And no judgment to people that go that route, but I've always known that's not the route for me. Like, I am a diehard artist to my core, and this is what I am going to do. Yeah. And I definitely live and breathe this life. Yeah. It's all I think about. I'm constantly working towards my projects.
Yeah. Do you ever like reflect over a piece, like over like where you're like thinking about like, this is like you know, you gotta like what's the piece that you treasuring the most?
I think my freedom and being able to choose how I live my day-to-day life.
Where?
Yeah.
Where? Like,
what project do I want to work on today? What do I want to do today?
Yeah.
The only part about being so multidimensional is I feel guilt towards the projects that I feel like I'm supposed to create that I neglect.
Yeah.
So that's like also, I think, being kind to myself. Like, life is short, and every human can only do so much.
Yeah.
Like, we want to believe we can do it all, but life is short. We can all only do so much. So I feel like there are parts of myself that I'd really like to allow myself to focus on more, that I actually feel some guilt of not focusing on. Like, so you're a screenplay writer and a filmmaker?
That rings so crazy with me, because I have just so many, like, I have a lot of concepts for screenplays.
Yeah.
But like, there's something I've written, and it's weird for me. It's like, I have like couple projects that I have the whole thing for them, but it's like, you know, but I'm very hard on myself on it, and I was very like, back in the day I used to like be like, I would compare age, where like, oh, this fucking person took off and like this fucking thing. Oh, I'm sorry. This like, everybody's like taking off, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, damn, you know, when's like my day? And it's for, I don't know, it became a time where I was just like, you know, like it really, it ended up becoming the meditation of just working towards something like every single day, like a little bit, like you know, like Sisyphus a little bit. I think
even though there's things that I feel guilty about not putting more attention to, I'm really proud of myself that I found a way to live out my 2-year-old, 4-year-old dreams. But the parts of me that I am a little guilty about not working towards more, and why I asked if you are a screenwriter. I know you're in film.
Yeah.
You're a filmmaker.
Yeah, I'm a filmmaker.
So one of my earliest dreams was acting. And I started taking classes in, I think, about 2018. So from 2018 till 2020, I was going to the city twice a week for like 4-hour acting classes. So these are like intense acting classes, and I think I was getting to a point that I was really proud of. And then 2020 came around, and everything was on Zoom, and I felt exhausted, and I got off of my training, and that's something I feel a little guilty about, because I know that I can get the muscle back with Like
Yeah.
I would go have a couple sessions with a coach and practice on my own, and I know I'd get the muscle back. But that's something that I feel a little guilty for because I've been focusing so much on my nightlife and live performance art and my troupe, but I also like always wanted to do more acting. And a really heartbreaking story is in 2020 when I was taking a bunch of classes. One class that I got into was a screenwriting class, and I was working with an incredible coach who walked us through what makes a screenplay, and each session we would have the homework to complete the 10 pages for what we learned would be what the next 10 pages were. And I was pretty much done with a 90-page screenplay, which is a feature film.
Word.
And my computer crashed and I didn't have it backed up. My hard drive crashed and I did not have it backed up. Big major lesson. I lost my screenplay. And I haven't, this was now 3 years ago, and I've only opened it up once within the past year. And I know if I was like, put a little bit of time in every day, I know I could finish it.
Yeah.
But there's something like heartbreaking about that experience.
Yeah.
But then this is also like really dumb, but you mentioned age. I know I look very young. I know I look very, very youthful, but I am 31 and the character is a 17-year-old, and I feel like I'm supposed to play the character because it's definitely a part of me, even though like her story is very different than mine, but it's definitely inspired by my story, and I feel like I'm supposed to play that character. So I'm like, make this happen before you can't play a 17-year-old anymore.
Tell us a little bit about the story.
I will say as much as I feel comfortable saying, because I feel like spiritually...
Damn it, Johnny, she got us. I'm just not.
I feel like spiritually I can only say so much. I don't know if that makes sense to you.
It's all to you.
But I will say that it's a coming of age story about a young runaway who meets...
Which one?
Huh?
No. I'm like, oh, now there's like actually a troupe of poets in Phenotype where shout out to the Runaways and shit, right? Stephanie Nicole and Benjamin Roman. Runaways, which way?
who meets a awkward but less adventurous young teenage boy who is trying to have his first adventure, and then they adventure together. And that's kind of what it's about. But obviously it's quite a bit deeper than that. But that's what I feel safe stating at the moment.
How was the process of writing it? Did you feel like it was like a venting of...
The way the coach taught me to write made it so easy, because it's actually a story that I've been writing since I was like 22, 23 years old. So I'd literally been writing the idea of the story way before I even started writing it. But then with her help, I realized what needs to be changed to make sense with how you write a screenplay for it to actually be something that an audience is interested in following. So yeah, the process, that's why I know if I need an accountability buddy. I need a screenplay accountability buddy. I feel like
co-writer is really very helpful.
Yeah,
really.
I feel like if
you need a spotter. I
need somebody that's like, because if I made myself write like for 20, 30 minutes every day, it would get done. But I could use a little hand.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah.
Word, yeah. A lot of my good screenplays. It comes. I have a writing partner. His name is Neil Gazai. He also acts in basically all the films. Next week I have a departure from it. I'm actually filming Andy Dick for 5 days.
Nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Well, I'm getting a little anxious of it, but I'm not anxious in a way. It's weird. I'm just like trying to like just prep for like.
Well, what exactly are you filming? Like, what's it gonna
It's
be
just
about?
the story of his life.
Nice.
He's kind of been through like a really like rough year. It's weird. It's kind of the story of Andy Dick. Everybody's got an Andy Dick story. Is one of the. Well, there's another doc that's kind of like that, but he was this like big star in the '90s, and there was like a different like sense of humor back in the '90s, like
Yeah.
around like the Tom Green and fucking the Steve-O, like it was different. Like it was like shock comedy was very big. He ended up like shifting over to so like after the shock comedy like thing kind of like started to fade off. Andy like these stars all ended up with all these problems because they like Hollywood was purporting these characters where it's like, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna pay you $300,000 to act like an asshole or do like, oh,
yeah.
I'm gonna be this character
Yeah.
for it. And you know, they were rewarded a long enough time, and now like, you know, the joke has kind of changed. The guy's kind of still stayed in character, but maybe that's just the character of Andy Dick, but they've rewarded Andy Dick as this person. But it's weird because I want to make it just a very like intimate portrait. We have like his son and his family coming in.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's weird, but I'm shooting and I'm doing the line of questioning next week, so I'm like I'm having a little bit of but it's cool. But yeah, like
It's gonna be amazing.
yeah,
It's gonna be awesome.
I know. I always get like it's. I don't know if it's stage fright, but it's not stage. I trust who I am in the moment. Of making it.
Yeah.
But I'm like like, you know what I mean. But it's like it's you know, once you get your foot on the dance floor and you start dancing.
It's like, what's going on right now?
Yeah. What's going
on?
Channeling my divine feminine.
Yes, channel that divine feminine. Woo!
putting all the chakras in line.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, it's gonna be cool.
That is gonna be cool.
Yeah. It's the, you know, it's I don't know. But going back into filmmaking, but going back to Neil's roommate as the guy who was bringing it in. But Neil's starred in a lot of like my stuff. But he's my co-writer on the Philosophical Pimp. We've done a couple screenplays together, and like yeah, it's.
I think I would have to find my person because I honestly have trust issues, especially with something that's such a baby project where it's like I feel like the character's a version of myself. Like I would have to. I have trust issues.
You're personal.
I have trust issues when it comes to. That's what I was talking about with even the team of the woman that I've connected with for my entertainment company. Like deciding to put that shoot together was sacred. It's way more than just a photo shoot for my entertainment company. I when I bring people into my art, I'm like so dead serious about it that I need to feel very safe and held with whoever I
it's a very
join forces with.
It's a very personal project. I mean, like you know, it's crazy too because I'm like kind of lone wolf, not a lone wolf, but like I'm very particular on a lot. It's like together, like putting together that team of people that are really going to like execute. You're very like you're hands on it, but it's weird. It's like there's a moment. I do still photography. I do still photography every day, and I just take shots of the city, and it's a very. This is like my meditation and my form of decompression and they're all very sacred to me. Every photo is personal, and like a lot of, you know, it's like, you know, just random shots, and it's me in the moment, and I'm getting that every single day. But I have complete control there because it's just me, and it's like this little fucking thing. Like with film is a production, so it's like this. Like on sets, it's like a military like delegation where it's everybody has like their specific role. You have to trust that the role is going to be fulfilled. And it's weird because it's say if we were just like making tires. It's like, oh, you know, Steve's on rubber. I don't know. Maybe I'm butchering the tire industry, but Steve's on rubber. That's how all tire industries operate. What's it called? Tire warehouse, tire factories. But you know what I mean? It's like it's going, and it's like, all right, maybe. But you know what? The crazy thing is, they're still in art to tires. Like it's very, but it's like this is your baby.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
This is like. It's like, yo, I'll let you hold the baby, but you're only holding the baby. You know what I mean? But making sure everybody's holding the fucking baby.
I'm also
right.
the kind of person that I know when my film is finally made or ready to be made. So far, the only projects I've gotten to be involved in are very small projects that I've acted in are very small projects. And one thing I've noticed about really small indie films is that a lot of people bring their inexperienced friends on as opposed to people who really have acting chops. Even if you're my friend, you need to read lines for that role. Like, I'm not just like handing anybody a role. I'm like you're gonna have to audition for the film, and I need to see those acting chops. Like, I need to see that you're good. But one thing that I remembered as you were speaking, and a whole other perspective that I'm really trying to bring in as a team leader. One of my earlier burlesque shows that I produced, my friend Vivi Noir, who I'm very inspired by because she is just such a good burlesque dancer and she's been doing it for a lot longer than me. She was one of the performers in my show, and I remember asking her like for some constructive criticism after the show because she's produced a lot of shows. I'm like, what'd you think? And she was like, everything was great, the show was great, the way you set it up was great, we all did great. The only thing I would say to you is remember to trust your team. Because I do get like stressed out about timing and, you know, like things going a certain way.
It's trying to Stanley Kubrick wrote, or he said, directing a film or directing even just any production is like writing War and Peace in a bumper car fucking rink. But continue. I'm sorry.
That's pretty much it. Just trust your team. So I'm trying to remember that because I'm very meticulous with my projects, and I think the performers that I've had issues with along the way haven't understood my passion, and the ones that are easy to get along with, like every single girl that was in my shoot this past week, respect me and trust me, because I recently had an issue with a performer who gave an opinion on a costume that I booked her for. She was like, hey, I think it would be better if you did such and such. And I was like, yeah, totally. I think next time I'll keep that in mind. Next time I'm looking for this costume piece. And she was actually supposed to be in this shoot, but she started being really pushy about that opinion she had about that costume and wasn't trusting that all the costumes I had planned for the shoot were going to be something that she was going to look good in. And her distrust was ending up being kind of like a...
You can't play music with somebody like that.
Yeah, it was like, it's like, how can I send you, if you're going to have this much of a distrust, like you made an opinion about a costume, totally cool, totally valid. I will try to keep that in mind next time. But if that's not good enough and you're just going to be like, no, you're not going to make me look good, then this probably isn't going to.
No, it's all good.
This probably isn't going to work out. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, and it's kind of interesting that she was supposed to be at this shoot and that all happened when we were talking about the shoot. And I think it's good that it happened before then, because that goes back to the sacredness of the energy and the people that are there. And the women that were there had no questions, no complaints, no concerns. You know, it was just a nice, easygoing environment. And that's because they understand, respect, and trust my vision just as I do when I'm in on someone else's project.
Yeah.
When I'm on someone else's project, you know, if I have a real concern or a real opinion, maybe I'll voice it. But it's done in a way where at the end of the day, it's still their project, or I don't have to be involved with it.
You're in service in that. It's there's a saying, there's one for them, one for me type of thing. You know what I mean? But it's like, if you're doing one for them, just do one for them. It's not for you. It's not, they're bringing ego in when it's like.
But I think the reason that I even brought this up was because I was talking about how passionate I am. Every little thing, from the costuming to the creative direction, it's all a vision and a passion. And I think not everyone's going to understand that, but maybe those people aren't really meant to be in other people's.
It's weird.
projects.
It's like painters. Like I take art classes, and like it's weird because being a performer, you're paint for the director in that thing, because you're in service to like yourself, and you're in service to the character, and you're in service to the entire thing. But it's like, you know, are you gonna tell like Picasso how to fucking use his acrylics? You know, like it's like the red is talking back to me. You know what I mean? I'm like, just be red. If you could just be the red, or you could just be the yellow, or you could be like blue or periwinkle, whatever. But like, you know, like, just be part, because like I'm gonna make a beautiful painting.
Be a part of it. Trust. And
trust the process. Yeah. Word.
So I guess I realized recently that like the trust is a big thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's everything.
Because I think this other person probably had their own insecurities, like the costume example. I think this other person probably had their own insecurities, and that's why they were so adamant about that. But I don't want to make people look bad. I want to make people look sexy. I want to make people look amazing, you know? Like, I will always take notes for what can make someone look more amazing in the future. And now that you've put that note out there, trust me.
No, you're the artist in that situation, man. You gotta like, it's you know, word. So what do you have planned for the future?
Always something, right?
Yeah.
So we were actually talking a little bit before we started the podcast that I'm at a point where I really want to bring my productions to fruition. I think I'm ready to take a chance in general, financially, with how many people I'm able to get out or not, with where I'm going to find the right venues.
Yeah.
I think I'm ready to take a chance and bring some of my dream productions to fruition. So that's one big thing I want to do. I want to sit down and plan out my year and be like, all right, so if I did this month, this month, now where would all these happen? And put some dream shows together. I want to bring an in-person burlesque class to life. I've done them online, and I think people are generally over online stuff and want to connect.
Imagine teaching a burlesque class over Zoom. That's got
it. My burlesque isn't completely dance related, which I think is a misconception. So I always very clearly say I am a burlesque performer, not a burlesque dancer, because I think people hear the word burlesque and they automatically think it's a dance, but it's not always. It can be, but it's not always. Burlesque is the art of tease. So burlesque, when you're performing burlesque, what makes burlesque is removing layers and flirting with the crowd. But that could be done I have a routine where I'm Cruella de Vil. There's not really any dancing, but I come out with a suitcase and then I smoking my cigarette and oh my god, the puppies I just stole from Anita's house are all in this suitcase, and a lot of fun stuff happens after that. But yeah, so that's a very character-based storytelling routine. So although I'll probably create a little routine for an in-person class just so people can understand how layers work, like how you can remove a glove, how you can remove a rope, burlesque itself is really the art of tease. So when I teach burlesque, I like to teach people what's your style and help them find like are you a classic burlesque performer where you like to wear like evening gowns and you look like Jessica Rabbit, or are you more of a nerd-esque performer where you like to bring a comic book or video game character to life, or are you a little more neo and experimental? What's your vibe, and how can you take your vibe and put a 3 to 5 minute routine together that's going to engage the audience from start to finish? And I also teach them about intention, because burlesque is incredibly intentional. Like, how do you remove your glove, and what audience member are you staring at, and like bringing them in through eye contact while you are taking this article of clothing off, or stage presence, because I think there's a lot of performers that don't have an understanding of what to do from beginning, middle, and end to really keep an audience on them their entire routine. So yeah, my burlesque is not fully choreographed dance routine, and that's why it can work online, but my in-person classes probably will include a mixture of both. Yes.
Word. All right, word. Where can we find you at?
So everything is under a form of Nola Bunny. My personal Instagram is Nola Bunny Creation. My production Instagram is Nola Bunny Productions. I think I spoke briefly about my vintage clothing. You can find my vintage via Nola Bunny Vintage. And I would also appreciate if everybody could check out my YouTube, The Nolaverse. I put videos out every Friday at 3:33 p.m. It is the Nolaverse, not the Nolanverse, which I am very upset comes up when people type in the Nolaverse, and I didn't realize that was even a thing when I was naming the YouTube channel. So I promise...
Christopher Nolan.
I promise if you look up the Nolaverse, you will find it. Please subscribe, and actually, there's going to be a version of this podcast on YouTube as well. So
visual, I'm audio, and Noel's got the visual version of it.
Yes.
Shout out to Michael.
Yes, Michael's taking care of that camera back there. Woo!
But yeah, Nola Bunny, ladies and gentlemen. Afternoon FM. Have a great night. Stay beautiful, people.